it is, the site of my first rollerblading jump. I have such great memories of this place, and to think now, it's the site of 50 douchebags doing psilocybin. So this is the Romeo and Juliet Garden in Denver at the Denver Botanic Gardens. Charlie, I call the Denver Botanical Gardens and Kate calls it the Botanic Gardens, which is, I think, wrong. I haven't ever told her that, but if she sees this now, you're pronouncing it wrong. And one of the reasons that we wanted to get married here was this, which is a quote that I put on a bench for her in Washington Square Park in New York City. If I planted a flower, every time I thought of you, I would walk in my garden forever. Pretty nice. So we had a small kind of reception in terms of the number of people, and a string quartet in that place, in one of these things. And then right here is where Kate and I tied the knot. And it was beautiful, and her vows were really beautiful and sweet and actually quite funny. And then I tried to put a joke or two in the vows, and I bombed. It really, really bombed. I think in part because everybody was like, God, is he not even gonna be serious for this one thing? And that hurts. Bombing in general hurts, but bombing on your wedding day, it'll make you feel like this. You know, Kate and I knew each other since college, so it was like 15 years in the making, basically, was to have it here. And I mean, it's gorgeous. This is one of my favorite places in Denver, outside of Argonaut Liquors on Colfax. That's where I got divorced the first time. Okay, so every time I come back to Denver, I sleep in my parents' house in my childhood room. So it's really interesting because they've kept it the same since I was in high school. I mean, it's very strange and also really comforting, kind of. And I had kind of this floor to myself. And so it was really my own kind of world. And you know, now coming into the room, it's sort of a menage of kind of my past. This was my Bible. They gave this to any of the members in recess. And this is the reason I moved to Chicago. So this is the reason that I'm a Chicago comedian, because in it, Improv Olympic was highlighted, and it's written by Sharon Halpern. And so we had to read and memorize this book. So, you know, this was sort of me learning how to, and this is Old Style Light, which I used to do. I had a job for a while where I was doing stand-up and trying to get people to drink Old Style Light. Old Style is a famous beer in Chicago. It's not a great beer. What's worse, the only thing you could do worse than that is make a light version of it. And so people would throw these back at me. I'd throw them into the crowd, and they'd throw t-shirts and stuff right back in my face. These are both from my major, which was psychology with a concentration in persuasion theory and social influence. So it was about advertisers, it was about politicians, and how you kind of get the masses to believe something. And I obviously have used that to get the masses to believe that I'm amusing. Let me see if this still fits. Yeah, it still fits. So this is kind of where I studied film without even really thinking about it. So my father, slowly but surely, he was obsessed with films. He's such a cinephile. And slowly but surely, he built up this sort of theater. This entire floor is just about films. And I love a film, and I love movies. This is the real pièce de résistance, which is the theater, which used to be just couches where I would try and hook up with girls unsuccessfully. He was always obsessed with certain films and certain stars, and so that's where I learned about sort of Clark Gable, Frankenstein, Bela Lugosi, and I watched every single one of the James Bond movies in succession when I was in like 6th grade or something like that. Every single Woody Allen movie, every single Marx Brothers movie, every single Thin Man film. So it was, he kind of, without even realizing it, was giving me like a graduate degree in film. It was amazing. And I used to rent VHSs when I was a kid, for sure, but then in the 90s, something became very popular, which was laser discs, which are like a large version of DVDs. These are how many movies we ended up with. And so this was the movie library that I was able to access. Tootsie, 2001: A Space Odyssey, all the Star Treks, all the Star Wars, all the Terminators, anything. Just absolutely all of the best movies from every single year, not even every single decade, every single year. And this is a collection of well over 1,000 films. And there was a time in my life where I was watching a movie every single night, for sure. And then these are all, this is really sweet, but these are all the films that I've been in that they sort of collected on DVD. And it's funny because also there are 2 Yogi Bears. So 2 Josh and Sam's, 2 Yogi Bears. This is the coolest thing because my mother and father went to the 2010 Sundance, and I wrote and was in I'm Having a Difficult Time Killing My Parents, and my parents starred in that film. And that's really cool that like my father was in a movie that went to Sundance, I think, because he kind of, this is all because of him.